Alright, break's over. Alright, so you got your files. Now you want to know how to animate. So I'm going to open up my file that I have saved. There we go. Alright. Female body 1HM. This is my file. I haven't closed the hands on it, but fingers look funny, don't they? One thing about these animations is you're gonna be resetting the stretch and resetting the scale, and I think that there's a technique to doing that with your actual ready file like this, so that way you don't have to do it with every animation you make. But I just do it with each animation. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt. I have to reset stretch and scale on different bones multiple times, but I eventually get it. It's whatever. Everyone's got their methods. If someone knows how to do that, because I've tried that. I've tried resetting the stretch and resetting the scale, which you select all bones. You go into Bone Tools, make sure bone is on, and then you click Reset Stretch, Reset Scale. Sometimes a bone will be checked. It'll say bone on, but then it'll be grayed out. If that's the case, you just turn it off, turn it back on, and then it should be whitened like this. And then Reset Stretch, Reset Scale. I've tried to do that before in my ready file, and then imported an animation, and it was all jacked up, like irreparable. So I do it just, I don't reset stretch, I don't reset scale, don't touch these buttons at all until I get to the actual animation that I'm doing, and then I do it with the animation. And then the reason you want to do that is, I really don't know technically why, but if you don't reset stretch and scale, then your animation is going to look all jacked up in game. And I'm not talking about that deformed, like, the T-1000 at the end of Terminator 2 when Linda Hamilton shoots him with a shotgun and he explodes, and his head's like way up here, and his like arms in his ass, and like that kind of thing. If you ever see an animation that looks like that, that means you didn't key it right. Skyrim needs every frame of every bone to be keyed. And if you don't key it right, then that's what happens. I don't know. I don't know why that happens either, but it just does. But I'm talking about the deformation. I'm talking about is like, if you don't reset and reset stretch and scale, then when you get your animation into the game, like on certain frames of the animation, the limbs will be like flopping around like a seal and stuff. Like, it's kind of weird, and so you got to do that. So anyway. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything here as I go, so if I miss something, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure I've got everything pretty much covered at this point. So, ready to animate, right? Import. Find your animations. The KFs that you exported that are ready. I have all my KFs in this one folder here, ready anims. It's got all of the general animations, and by general I mean they're not in the male or female folder, they go for all characters. And then I also, down here, I've got this mixed with the male animations, so just so they're all in the same folder. Like MT. Anything that says MT means that you don't have a weapon equipped in this animation. I don't know what MT stands for. Maybe it's supposed to represent empty, like empty-handed, empty. I don't know. That's just my guess. I'm probably wrong about that. But yeah, so like MT, run forward, etc. These are all just your general animations without any weapons equipped. Turn, walk, all that stuff. 1HM is your one. I'm guessing that means one-handed melee. I actually just thought of that a couple hours ago. I was like brainstorming about stuff, and because I never understood what 1HM meant. I was thinking like one-handed maces. I don't know. One-handed melee, I guess. It's kind of derp of me to not think about that. Derp, 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 derp. Anyway, so 1HM is one-handed melee. 2HM is two-handed melee. But this 2HM is actually just for swords. 2HW is your warhammers and battle axes. 2HW, I wonder what that means. 2HW. Probably two-handed weapon, but yeah, that's for battle axes and warhammers. Enema Object, these are your animations that have, like, you know, like if an NPC, like you see him sweeping with a broom, that broom is an Enema Object. It's connected to the animation. And that's what these Enema Object animations are. AO, that's what AO stands for, Enema Object. Like AO, execution-y chop. Well, execution E, so I'm guessing that that's the guy getting his head chopped off. Yeah, so anyway. Beast 2H, this is probably the werewolf animations. I'm just guessing. But yeah, so, and then bow. Bow is your bow animations. Mage. So you can find Mag. Mag is your magic animations. Mage cast. These are the animations that, I believe the only thing that the game reads from these are the feet and the legs. And this is just how your legs are positioned while you're casting and moving around. Because, you know, obviously when you're casting, you're moving left and right, you're going to be strafing so you can aim your, you know, spell forward. So Magecast, it reads the legs and the feet from Magecast, but then it reads the upper body from the Mage. MLH, this is left-handed magic. MRH is right-handed magic. MT, again, that's no weapons. No weapons, no items. And then a bunch of other generic stuff. Oh, SHD, that's shield. These are all your shield block. Unfortunately, there's no movement animations for shields, exclusive to shields. So all that it reads from this is the arms, I believe, and the shoulders. So it creates kind of awkwardness if, you know, the shield animation by default is that, you know, vanilla stance where your body's kind of turned to the right. So say you create an animation for one-handed weapons where your body's not turned to the right, it's straightforward, like in my Dimacaris animations that I'm working on now. If you move and block with that, because it only reads from the arms, the shield is actually going to be pointed to the left. So you have to adjust the shield animations. A lot of times, if you adjust the one-handed animations, they go hand in hand. Otherwise, you're going to have jacked up shield animations. And a note on that, I realized that holding the shield out in front of you, you know, with your body squared off, with no shoulder, you know, your body's not turned to, like, you know, push up, you know, against it for leverage or anything. I realize that's not realistic, because you would turn your body and you would use your shoulders and your body weight like that as leverage. But in my Dimacaris animations, characters turned squared off in its animations, and I had to adjust the shield animations. So they kind of just lifts the shield up in front of them. I realize it's not realistic, but that mod is going to be mainly aimed at dual wielders. So, alright, enough rambling. Sneak. That's your sneak animations, obviously. Staff, there's your staff animations. Torch, TOR is torch. Let's see, what else you need to know? Mac is mace. Sewer Mac is Mac equip, Mac unequip. Where they be? There we go. Mac equip, Mac unequip, that's mace. There's also DAG, D-A-G, that's dagger. DAG equip, DAG unequip. Axe equip, Axe unequip, obviously, you know what that is. And then 1HM is sword. Well, actually, the 1HM equip, 1HM unequip is swords only. But all the other 1HM animations are for all one-handed weapons. And that includes dual wielding. The only thing that dual wielding has in terms of exclusive animations exclusive to dual wielding is the left-handed attacks. Like dual wielding power attack back, it's kind of misleading. That's really left-handed power attack back. So pretty much anything that has DW in it, you can say that that's weapon in the left hand. Dual wielding does have its own idle, but it doesn't have its own turning, doesn't have its own moving. What the hell's moving? It doesn't have its own moving. That's why in the vanilla game, you know, you have that ninja stance for the idle, but then when you turn, it reverts back to the one-handed turning. So that's why you get those really bad jitters when you turn and then stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, because dual wielding doesn't have its own turning animations. And all these blocks, these are I'm not sure what these are. I think those are actually, I know I've done those animations. Maybe those are when you hit someone and they block it. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, so DW is dual wielding. Alright, so we're going to load an animation. Let's go with attack power forward. Alright, all boxes checked, import. And there you go. You got an animation. In a lot of animations, the hands are not closed on the weapons. In the game, they probably will be, because the behavior files or some other rather file like that handles that, closes the hands on the weapons. But when you, I'm guessing, unless you modify the behavior files, which I have no idea how to do, maybe it's easy, maybe I could figure it out easy because I'm an animator or whatnot, but I have no idea how to modify the behavior files. And when you key this animation, you're going to key the hands open like that, so in game they will be open. It will override the behavior files. So you do need to close the hands in the animations. So, first thing I usually do, go to wireframe, select all the bones in the hand. Alright, there's 18 bones in each hand. 18. Alright, so you look over here, object selected, 18. That's how you know if you got the right stuff. Alright. And then hold control. Get the other hand. I don't want this thing though. Wing bone. Unselect that. So you should have 36. Both hands. 36 objects selected. Alright, now there's no keys. If there was even one key in any of these bones, it would show up down here. It's empty, so there's no keys. This is your key bar here. Alright. You can go to Dope Sheet. Right click, go to Dope Sheet. You can see that stuff for yourself too in more detail. These scene material keys, world key, I never touch those. It doesn't seem to affect anything. It looks like something that would probably hurt the animation if you removed it, so I never touch these things. You only want to worry about the colored keys, where it starts with the objects here, starting with the finger. It only shows the objects you have selected, though. So you can see there's no keys, except for these keys up here that I don't touch. Alright. Load animation. I have my idle animation saved, and this has all bones in that animation saved with all keys. Now when you load an animation, it's only going to load that animation for the bones you have selected. So since I have the two hands selected, it's only going to load the hand animation from my idle, right? So I go 1HM idle. Dang it. Load. And boom, we got closed hands. Not those 1 and 2 finger weird grips like they're freaking drinking a cup of tea or something. Proper tight grip. And like I said, that loads all the keys of my idle animation. So you see there's a lot of keys, and actually it goes beyond the length of the animation because the idle animation is really long. So you see, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can delete those keys if you do this, if you do it this way, and you have, you load a much longer animation into a shorter one. These keys that go beyond the length over here in the dark gray aren't going to affect anything. Dark gray is not part of the animation. Gray is. So you can delete these if you want. I often do just to clean things up, but you don't need to. Or alternatively, you can save a different version. I have a different version of my idle saved that only has one key. And there's different things you can do with that too. And since that's the only key in the key line, the hands are going to be close to the whole thing. Because that's the only key there is. So the hands are there the whole time. Now after you're done with the animation, you're going to have to key the whole thing. But for now, that works. Okay, another important thing to do. One of the very first things you do after you import animation. Go down here to this time configuration box. Alright, and you want to decrease the frames by 1. And then before I do that, I'll show you why. At the end of the animation, you'll see two frames that look exactly the same. You don't need that. You only need one frame at the end that looks exactly the same. And the reason for that is, obviously, well, in the case of loop animations, you want the animation to loop back to the beginning perfectly. So how better to do that than to have the last frame equal the first frame? So that's why that's like that. But you don't need the extra one. As a matter of fact, you need to remove it. So every animation you import, it always adds an extra frame. That's because the FPS is different the way 3ds Max calculates it and Skyrim calculates it. So you always remove that extra frame. So that said, so now you have, well, this is in a loop animation, so the last frame does not equal the first frame. But you still remove that last frame. You don't need it. Alright, that said, we have our animation. We have our hands closed. Everything else seems to be in order. Sometimes when you import animations, there's problems with it. So you want to check out all the bones. Like, I've had a problem numerous occasions where the skirt bone, this second front skirt bone, will be all like really short and like rotated wrong, and oftentimes I got to select all the skirt bones and then load one of my saved animations into it, so to fix it, because sometimes it'll be all jacked up, and it'll throw a lot of errors in Habit content tools too. So just check all the bones, particularly the skirt bones, the fingers, and just make sure everything looks alright. Once you've done a few animations, you'll pretty much get a good idea of how everything should look. And if something looks off, you know, you want to make sure that's fixed before you continue. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to do all this work on an animation, and then at the end you're going to be like, oh crap, there's no skirt bone, you know, and then it's a pain in the butt. But so check everything out really nice. Just some notes here. Camera, third person camera, cam third. You can move this. Okay, moving it up and down, rotating it around, etc. Will handle the camera position in game. Now just leave it where it is by default, and that's the default position of the camera in game. But let's say you're doing a sneaking animation. If you notice, when you do sneaking animations in game, the camera lowers when you go into sneak. Now the exact position of that is you select cam third, and then you go to move, right? But you go, see, you got move and rotate, and then you got these little boxes down here. This is so you can pick a specific like coordinate for it, instead of just moving it up and down all sloppy like. Alright, so you go to move, alright, and then you go to Z on the left here, 85. That's where the camera should be for sneaking. Now, obviously this is not a sneaking animation, so we don't need that, but just in case you want to do sneaking animations, that's where it should be. Alright. So, let's play around with set key, show you how this works. Anytime, first off, actually, before we do that, let me explain something here. If you do not have set key on, and you move a bone, let's say, well, rotate rather, you want to rotate. As a matter of fact, let me pause what I'm saying here. One thing you want to set up also is key filters. I have all 4 of these checked. It doesn't seem to give me any problems. So I have all 4 of them checked, but the important ones you want checked are position and rotation. And what that means is when you key something, it's going to save that object's position and rotation in the key. And that's what these colors mean. I believe green means rotation. Red means position. Let's find out what the other ones mean. Scale is probably blue. Yep, blue. Scale is blue. So whenever you see like multicolored keys or single colored keys, that's what that means. Green is rotation, red is position, scale is blue, and IK parameters. I don't know why I use this, but I do. I don't even know what it does, but it doesn't seem to affect anything, and who knows, I might end up finding out what IK parameters does and being able to manipulate it. But I think that's black. Oh, actually, it doesn't show up. Well, anyway. So yeah, green rotation, red position, blue scale. So if you see a key that's only blue, it only saved the scale in that rotation. But the important ones you want, like I said before, you do want position and rotation. The reason you want position, all these bones you're going to rotate to animate. But for position, there are some things you're going to save position of. And that's cam third in some animations. NPC calm. You know, you go into bone tools, turn the bone off. You're going to turn it back on before you export the animation, but for now you turn it off so you can move the character around. Go to move. And then you can, you know, move the character up and down and such for like jumping attacks, etc. and you do want the position to be saved in the key. Maybe I'm wrong about that. If someone wants to correct me, I'll stand corrected. But anyway, let's go ahead and, this is a overhead slash, right? Let's make it an uppercut. Just for the purposes of the tutorial, I'm not going to try to make it look all perfect, but just to give you an example, just to show you how to use set key. Alright, go to set key, you go to wireframe. Alright, so we want it to be an uppercut, right? So you want the shoulder, the arm, the wrist, shoulder, arm, forearm, and wrist. And hand, rather. Shoulder, arm, forearm, hand. Now the shoulder is the clavicle. Let's find it in objects. You can pick through the skeleton and try to find it yourself, but it's easier to do it this way. Alright, you go to clavicle and then control upper arm, forearm, hand. Right? Alright, now these are all the keys for this for these items. If neither of the 4 items had a key on a certain frame, then it would be empty. But if any of them have a key on that frame, then it'll show up. So these keys doesn't necessarily mean that all 4 of them are keyed. It just means that at least one of them are keyed on that frame. Anyway, so you obviously want to remove these keys for all those items. Now we got empty keys. Alright, now if you play the animation, and arm doesn't move, right? Just follows the spine. Now if we want to make an uppercut, well, the first thing we're going to want to lower the arm. So where is the clavicle here? There it is. First thing we want to do is lower the arm. Oh, it's a little too far. Alright, so there's your shoulder. Arm key. Once you get used to it, it goes pretty quick. Key, make sure you key. Make sure you always key on each bone before you move on to the next key. It takes getting used to. Eventually it'll just become second nature. But you will forget to key things as you move along. And if you do, it will reset back to its position. For example, I move this, I don't key it, and I select a different bone. If I go back to that frame, it didn't save it, right? But it saved all the other ones because I keyed them. Right? Let's go. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this perfect. I'm just trying to show you how keying works. Just rotate it a little more like it's an uppercut, right? Also, you know, the way the meshes twist around in the animation, unless it looks really, you know, deformed and out of whack, you don't normally have to worry about it. Like a case like that, yeah, it looks like his wrist or her wrist is kind of folded, but in game it'll look fine. Especially you put armor on and all that, and even if you don't have armor on, the meshes in game are much more complete, like thicker, and it doesn't appear to show stuff like that in game, so I wouldn't worry all too much about meshes folding and such. Alright, so there we go, we got our first frame, right? So now, since that's the only key for those 4 items, now it's stuck in that position the whole animation, right? Alright, so let's move forward a little bit. And let's see, where is this hit going to land? You can usually tell by the body language. Right there. Right about, probably about there, right? But we don't want the swing to start here and end all the way there, because that would be a really slow swing, right? So select those 4 items again. Right? I want it to be a fast swing. So there's the attack, right? Let's say 23. Frame 23. That's where the hit lands. Alright, let's say about 5 frames. Right about there. Alright? Key. Okay, so that means that it's locked in that position up to 18. As a matter of fact, let's rotate it a little bit. Just move the position just a little bit. Make it look like it's winding up a little more. That. Okay, so now I'm gonna start there. Alright. Okay. And actually, get the hand. It's kind of hard to select bones from far away like that. And let's rotate it so the blade, it looks like the blade's actually going to cut him instead of smack him. How about there? There we go. Key. Alright, so now, you see, hopefully you understand how keyframes work now. I mean, 3ds Max is going to automatically smoothly transition from one key to the next. It's going to rotate, etc. But you got to be in set key mode for this to work that way. So remember, set key mode manages the keys, the transitions between the keys, pretty much the animation in whole. If you just want to modify the position of an item or the rotation of an item throughout the whole animation, then you don't go into set key mode. So say you have like an idle stance, and say you want to make, for example, say you want to make a female version of that idle stance. So you want it to be the same idle stance, but you want the arms to be in closer to the body. You want the forearms to be rotated out a little more because you want it to look all pansy and everything, like she's afraid of breaking a nail, whatever. Hey, if that's your thing. But then you would not be in set key, and you would just, you know, rotate the arms, etc., put it in pansy position, and then save it. And then it will adjust that animation like that throughout every frame. But if you want to do the animation, transitions, etc., you got to have it in set key. Alright, so where did we say the hit was going to be? Let's say 23. Alright, so now, most of it's pretty much in place. Just got to rotate the arm, right? Make it look like, put it in contact position. Looks like it could be cutting somebody. Okay, that looks good enough. For the purposes of the tutorial, looks good enough. Look at that. Oh, I said it was going to be an uppercut, didn't I? Well, whatever. You get the point. If you want to do an uppercut, you can do that too. If you want it to be an uppercut, just do this number. All we got to do is go back to this key, right? With the arm. Put it down a little more. Key. And then rotate this. Bring this up. Do a little more. Down a little more. Probably about there, right? Yeah, it's a little bit of an uppercut there. You get the point. Alright, and then obviously the arm's going to keep swinging. It looks a little off because of the way the spine's moving and everything, but you can do the same stuff with the spine. And then at the end of the animation, obviously you want everything to kind of go back to normal. Let me see. Let me copy this key. By the way, to copy a key, you hold down Shift, left click, drag. You can copy a key. See where that looks. Ah, so that doesn't look too bad. Rotate it back around here. Oops, that's not working out. Whatever. Alright, well that's the end of the key. Right, that's the end key there. Alright. There we go. Boom, there's our attack. It looks really crappy, like I said, just for the purposes of the tutorial. Now, you get the idea with keys. Now, it goes for every bone. It goes for the spine, everything, you know. Now, just to give you a note on what bones govern what, you got this hip area down here. A lot of these bones, this little spider formation here, that's like the skirt, the weapon sheath positions, a lot of stuff like that. You don't really need to worry about it. Like a lot of those bones are just going to go with the character anyway. And in most animations that you import into 3ds Max, the skirt animations will already be done. You don't really need to touch them, unless of course you move around the legs and everything a lot in the animation. In that case, you need to move the skirt bones with it, because otherwise, you know, you're going to have animations where the legs going through the skirt, and you look like you're trying to show your legs so you can get picked up by some wagoner or something, you know. You don't want that. You don't want to be perverted wagoners picking you up, so make sure you move the skirt with the legs. Alright, but these bones down here, you got, this is actually the thigh. The bone before the bone is going to be named for it. In other words, this is actually the thigh. I mean, everyone knows what a thigh is. The upper leg is the thigh, right? But the bone up here is called thigh. Why is that? It's because when you rotate it, it's going to rotate the thigh. So the bone is going to be named by what it rotates, not by what it is. So you got your thighs. And then you got, see, the thigh bones, right, are actually called the calves. Because when you rotate it, it rotates the calf. And then the calves are called foot. Because when you rotate it, rotates the foot, etc., etc. Foot's called the toe. Rotates the toe. Alright, so that's your legs. Now, the spine is a little hard to select because of, oh, well, there it is. I got lucky. Because it's right next to, like, a skirt bone, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt to select. You got to, like, pretty much zoom the camera into the character's ass crack to get to it. Like that. Like that. But, if you want an easier way of selecting it, just go and press H to object. Alright, and if you're gonna be editing the spine a lot, and the spine is huge, and I don't mean in size, I mean it's hugely important to how your animation is gonna look. So if you're gonna be doing a lot of adjustments to the spine, don't try to use the preset default keys. Delete all the keys from all 3 spine bones. Spine 0 is right down by the ass. Spine 1 is the next bone. It's about like lower back. Spine 2 is like mid back. These 3 bones, very important. If you're going to be adjusting the spine, delete all keys in the spine and just start from scratch with set key mode. Otherwise, you're going to have a pain in the ass time. You know, these other bones, I don't know. Look at these bones. Come on. That's funny, but I don't know what the purpose of them is. I'm just not into that stuff. But hey, whatever. So they serve purpose for some people. I'm a guy after all. That's just not why I play Skyrim. I play Skyrim for fun, combat, immersion, stuff like that. If I want all this jazz, then I'll go watch a porno. But I'm not judging. Hey, whatever. Butt bones. You know what bones. But you got the head, you got the neck. Obviously, you know what those govern. So pretty much you got the legs, which I've already explained, those bones. And then from there up, you got the spine, spine 1, spine 2, and then from there, you got the neck and the head. Or, if you go the arm direction, you've got the clavicle, upper arm, forearm, hand. That's pretty much your whole skeleton that you're going to be animating there. All the other stuff, other than the skirt bones, which I already explained, the other stuff is pretty much just going to go with the animation automatically. You don't need to move it around. So that's about it. So you get the gist. So let's go ahead and make an animation. I'm not going to make a combat animation, though. I'm going to make something else, just for fun. Let's see here. Get my unequipped file here, and let's import. Let's go with walk. I'm going to make like a funny walk. That way we can walk through Riverwood, and all the NPCs will be using this walk. How about like a robot walk? Yeah. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to rotate walks, too. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Alright, so we got our walk, right? Okay, so we're going to need to... You know what? I'm going to take a break. Break time.